what we're doing here, this is the steering wheel from a Shoebox Ford, and like most of them, it's got a lot of cracks in it. These old steering wheels just fell apart after time, and we bought a kit to fix the steering wheel. So that's kind of what we're working on now. And we've taken one of these places that was pretty seriously cracked. You can kind of see over here this crack. It was cracked a lot worse in through here, and pretty badly in through here. We've already put some of the material on there, and we got to get some sandpaper now and sand that down, sand it smooth, and see how it's going to work. What you have to do, you take these cracks and take a Dremel, they say a file, but take a Dremel and open the crack up, make a pretty good groove there everywhere there's a crack, and that way you can get your material down in there, clean it real good, get it all the debris out of there. The kit that we got came from Eastwood, not a sponsor as they say, and you spray it with this Eastwood Pre, which cleans everything. And in the kit they give you this product called PC7. It's a 2-part epoxy. It's really heavy, gooey. This kit's been sitting around for a while, so I don't know if it's exceptionally gooey because it's been sitting around or it's just naturally gooey. But it's really heavy. You mix 2 parts equally, and the A and the B, and then work it down into the crack. And what I would recommend doing, what you have to do really, is let it sit overnight and set up. And even then, after it sits overnight, I'll come in with, I'm using this body rasp, and just kind of knock the high spots down. You don't have to get real aggressive with it, but you can kind of smooth it out with the body rasp, and just leave yourself some material there to work with the sandpaper once you get the thing smooth. Take some 80 grit sandpaper and start sanding, get it smooth. Got to get it down clean enough so that you can paint it so that it looks nice. If you come across a place where there's a low spot, you can see it sands pretty easy. What I would say, what I recommend, what I found is that after 24 hours, I'll take the rasp and knock down the high spots and actually let it sit another day before I do anything else. So we've done a little work off camera and smoothed this down a little bit with some 80 grit sandpaper and our cheese grater, and then some 120. It's come out pretty good. Still needs a little bit more work. In the meantime, what we've done is gone ahead and ground out some of these other areas, these other cracks. You got to make it worse to make it better. So we've got several of those, and this side of the wheel particularly bad. We've got quite a few cracks there, and we've got them all ground out. So what we're going to do is mix up some more material and put it in there and see how it turns out. We've got a big crack along here we're going to fill, and some of these ones on the back side, and we'll keep working on it. Now these 2 components of this epoxy are really heavy, really thick. I mean, you can see how thick that is. So it's really takes some effort to even get it out of the jar. It's almost like tar. And what you do is mix equal parts of the gray and the black and stir it up real nice and put it on Let's see if we can find something else to dig out the gray here with. Yeah, looks like equal parts to me. And mixing it is really a chore. I think what we'll do is we'll use the heavy knife here, make things a little easier. It's got a piece of cardboard here for a palette. You got to get them mixed up so that they're all one color. Now, it may be that I haven't seen a fresh batch of this stuff, and you can thin it a little bit if you have to. It may be that this particular batch has been sitting for a long time and it's quite a bit heavier than it should be. Can't tell you. It's the first time I've done this, so don't know what it's supposed to look like. But it sure is gooey, let's put it that way. Gooey and heavy. That could be a good thing. So we got it pretty well mixed up here, and what we can do, you'll be able to see this or not, we take a little bit of this on our knife and just apply it to the steering wheel, get it down in there. You need something that you can apply it with to get it down in there. Now what you can do, there you go, putty knife on the floor, is get yourself some water on your finger, and that will allow you to work it around, kind of smooth it out so that it doesn't stick to your finger. The working time on this stuff is fairly long, so you got time to make sure you get it down in there really good. We're going to go ahead and work the rest of this in, and when it's all done, we'll show you what it looks like. So we've got some stuff in there, and got it kind of smeared around a little bit with a wet finger. Got some there. We'll just let it sit up. Got some over here. Got it kind of lumped on there. What we're going to do is let it sit overnight. Really needs to cure for at least 24 hours. And then we can start working it a little bit, and really it should sit for 48 hours before you really get after it. So still got a few more spots there, but we'll just do a few at a time till we get her done. And the repair process on this steering wheel is just tedious. We've still got a couple of places to repair here, 3 or 4 spots. But we've managed to fill quite a few of the places. A lot of sand and smoothing, but this material seems to do a nice job. Tends to be, I don't know, feels kind of rubbery almost, not rock hard like JB Weld, and I think that may be the key is it's got a little flex to it, but we've got a lot of places where we've got to still sand and smooth and get everything ready to paint. But for the most part, the cracks have come out very well. The hard part, of course, is making sure that you don't screw up the finger grooves when you're sanding. You want to retain them. It's easy to sand them off. This is a hand sand job. This is definitely not a job for any kind of sanding machine, because it would tend to be too aggressive, and by the time you figured out you did some damage, it'd be too late. I've been working on this steering wheel off camera, and we've got really all of the splits filled. We decided to sand the thing down, get all of the original finish off, most of it anyway. Sanded it with some 80 and then some 220, went over it with some steel wool. I think now we're ready to put some paint on it. This wheel, I know you can kind of count around there, had about 20 faults in it, between splits in the rim and splits in the hub, and it had quite a few bad spots, but they look at least to have come out pretty good. We'll have to see how they hold up. Sanded on the bottom. Haven't quite got as aggressive with the sanding on the bottom because didn't want to monkey up the finger grooves. So, you know, we got this kit from Eastwood, and they give you this pre-painting prep, so we wiped the wheel down with that now, sprayed a little bit on a towel and wiped it down to get all the crap off. And the next thing they give you is this plastic adhesion promoter, and you've got to paint the wheel with that, put a light coat on, and then wait a few minutes and then put a heavy coat on, and somewhere inside 30 minutes of the heavy coat you need to paint it. And I think what we're going to paint this with is some vinyl paint. See how that works out. We've got some off-white vinyl paint, and we'll do all that work off camera. Nobody wants to watch spray painting and paint drying and grass growing and that sort of thing. So we'll follow through on the next step and see if we can put a little color on this thing and see how it turns out. And a little while later, we have more or less the finished product. We used some vinyl paint on this wheel. It's an off-white SEM vinyl coat, marine, and it's an off-white. I kind of like it, to be honest with you. I think it turned out decent. It's not glossy, kind of a satin finish, which is kind of cool. You could paint it with other kinds of paint if you want. One thing that you really need to know here, and this goes for any project, preparation is everything. The more time you spend preparing the surface, making sure that all the edges are feathered, all the little nicks and crannies are smooth, and everything is clean, the better your project's going to turn out. You just can't rush a job like this. It's time consuming. Sometimes you work on it a little bit, set it down, walk away, do something else, go have a sandwich, come back the next day, work on it a little bit more, take your time, and it looks like, at least for the time being, I mean, time will tell, that this kit that you get to repair the wheel is going to work out pretty good. I think the key is the epoxy has some elasticity to it, and that matches the composition of the material in the wheel. So we'll get her on the car at some point here and give it a try.